Hi, everyone. I'm James Garbutt.
And I'm Denny Dumas.
And this is the Garbutt Dumas Real Estate Podcast.
We're pumped. This is going to be a fun one. So there's questions, concerns that happen with clients, with agents daily that we just kind of answer second nature now. We've been through the process so many times that we just kind of understand how to navigate these tricky situations. So we want to just maybe every couple of weeks ask each other a question and just kind of share how we answer them, how we bring peace of mind to a seller, buyer, or how we explain situations to other agents that we're in the middle of a negotiation with or dealing with in a transaction. So I'm going to start. There's so many things that we could talk about in this stuff, but I want to be specific so we can kind of give you real life examples of daily things. So this is something we deal with often I'm going to start. I'm going to ask Jamie a question.
I'm here too,
guys.
Roll with it.
This is something we get asked or told from a buyer often in climbing markets, in active markets where maybe there's low inventory and things are really competitive. So something we hear all the time, Jamie, is I'm a buyer. There's no way I'm paying over asking for that. How do you navigate that question? What is your response to that? What are you educating the buyer with in terms of getting them out of that mindset? Because there's situations where over asking makes sense, and there's other situations where it makes no sense.
Is it a multiple offer situation? Is that what you're...
Let's just say you've met a new buyer and they are a numbers person and they say, I don't understand why anyone would pay over asking for anything. The asking price is the asking price.
Okay. I think I'd first start by saying every seller is a different human. Mm-hmm. Okay. So every individual is different and not everyone sees the world the same way that you may see the world.
Yeah.
So you not wanting to pay more than the list price, that's great in some circumstances, but in other circumstances, it's going to lose you a property you may love. And you just have to be okay with that. So what I tend to say is, if the market is, say, hot-ish like it is today, a desirable condo, for example, is going to get multiple offers because it's desirable. And if you choose not to pay above or get caught up in a multiple offer situation, that is completely up to you. But what I often find is that after one or two of these scenarios where you are stubborn on your principles, I wouldn't say stubborn, but after one or two of these scenarios where you run into a property you love and you are stuck on your price and it doesn't work out, what you tend to find is that you will be more flexible eventually. Mm-hmm. And what my concern is that if we're in a climbing market and you spend the next 3 to 6 months focusing on list price and your willingness to pay for a property as opposed to the market, you may watch the market climb in front of you, and it may work out for the worse in the end.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different ways to handle it, but I kind of just overall like to check people that every situation is different. List price does not mean value. Sometimes there is a genuine strategy for underpricing a listing.
Yeah.
And I would look at the property for what it is. It's perfectly understandable if you don't want to get caught up in a multiple offer on your first offer. I get that. But recognize that in this environment, if you're focused on your price, you may not get your product.
So that's exactly my first conversation with this new buyer is, let's understand that list price is a marketing tool. List price has, sure, there's stats on GVRD, whatever, of what listings usually sell for compared to list price. But list price is a strategy, and there's no real correlation between the two other than it's a strategy. So we're picking a list price to get the most activity in most circumstances, unless we're just trying for a high number. So let's understand that list price is not the market value. What is the market value? Let's find that. Let's find the market value. The market value for every single property is going to be different. It's going to be 5% less than list price. It's going to be 10% over list price, but it's very different. So let's find market value. I'll show you comparables. I'll let you know what I think market value is, and let's not pay over that. The list price to me is not important. You could price a property at $1, and if your philosophy is I will never pay over list price, you're not going to buy anything. So like maybe that property has $1 million value. That property in that neighborhood is worth $1 million. If it's priced at $899, you could get a smoking deal at $950. So that's the conversation I'm trying to have is understand list price is a marketing tool. Let's find market value. Let's not pay over that.
Yeah, and keep in mind these are buyer questions, conversations, and sometimes you have to earn their trust before they give it to you, I guess. Sure. So, sometimes you have to earn their trust by putting in one or two or three offers that are going nowhere.
Yeah.
And that's up to you if you want to spend that time.
Yeah.
But there's countless scenarios on our team where whether it's Denny or myself or one of the realtors on our team, that we're putting out offers that have no hope.
Yeah.
And what that does is we're doing our job for that client. We're showing that we're on that client's side. We're gaining that client's trust by doing what they wish over what our recommendations are.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we find that as it doesn't work out, the clients eventually come around.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't, though.
And not saying that you as Mr. Buyer, Miss Buyer, have to pay what I think is market value. I'm just going through that process every time when you're interested in a listing, showing you comparables, backing up my idea of market value, and then it's up to you to what you want to offer. If I think a property is worth $1 million and it's listed at $899, you don't have to pay $1 million. You can write lower than that. Just be prepared that someone else may see the same value as I do in it.
And to add to that, communicating in a way that gains trust.
For sure.
If you speak in absolutes and extremes and say that's never going to happen, this is not going to happen, and that's absolute, it's an easy way to lose someone's confidence and trust, or at least potentially insult someone. But so the way that I like to communicate is in likelihoods and probabilities. And if someone's putting a low offer in a multiple offer situation with subjects, I'm just simply saying, I'm not using the word, this is never going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's very unlikely or very low probability that this will get accepted, that we will see a counteroffer due to the fact that X sold for this, and we're likely up against subject-free offers because builders are looking for land and don't care about the house and blah, blah, blah. So, just recognize when you're speaking a little too extreme. If you're overselling it, you are easy to lose certain people's confidence and trust.
Totally.
Yeah. I guess, can I fire a question at you?
Let's hear it.
All right. You mentioned you mentioned I'm not paying over list. I'm going to go at you with the low balls. I want to write low balls. I want to get out there and write I want to get a deal. And I'm simply looking at how much off of list price can I get? I want a deal, Denny. Yeah. What are you going to do for me?
So it's the same conversation as like with a buyer wanting a deal. It's okay. List price is a strategy. Maybe this person is out to lunch. If this property is worth $1 million and they're listed at 1.2, they're out to lunch. Offering $1 million offer to me is very reasonable. You might think that's a low ball, but I want to come up with market value, share that with you with comparables to show what that is, and then we can game plan a strategy to me, a low ball is significantly off market value, not significantly off list price. List price to me is just a marketing number. That's it. So I want to come again, like what you just mentioned is we're speaking in likelihoods. So let's use that example. They're listed at $1.2 million. They've been on the market for 2 weeks. To us, the market value of that property is $1 million. I don't think anyone's paying close to 1.2 today. The conversation with Mr. Lowball Offer is the likelihood of them accepting $1 million today that they've been on 2 weeks is pretty low. If they were willing to take a number around $1 million, they probably would have listed more reasonably in that range. The likelihood is pretty low, but you don't know until you try. Like, let's have that conversation. Let's write an offer, see what their response is. If they respond with a counter of 1.190, they're probably not coming down to that $1 million range.
No.
If they counter at 1.1 and they come off significantly, okay, great. Maybe they're more reasonable than we thought, or more reasonable than their list price is. Every situation is a little different, but for me, it's more like focusing on market value and talking about off that rather than off list price.
Realtors that know the product do not rely on list price, assessed values, all the things that, certain individuals or people that like to use as a guide.
Yeah.
We are strictly looking at like comparables and replacement value and just coming up with a more accurate version of value our way, based on true sales and data. No, I like that, Denny. I like that. Do we have time for one more? What are we at? What time for one more? Do you have another question in mind here, Denny?
Oh, I got lots. This is a tricky one. You're in multiple offers. You're the listing agent. You communicate extremely well because you are a great communicator. And let's say there's 3 offers. You call everyone back, let them know you've received 3 offers because you don't know until the deadline usually what the activity is like. So you call everyone back, you let everyone know you have 3 offers. You let Mr. Bottom, Mr. Lowball offer know that they're significantly off the lead. If you want an opportunity to win the property, you've got to come up quite a bit. Otherwise, we're working with another group. And they say, well, how much? How much do I need to come up? How do you handle that?
I mean, a real simple thing is, if there's 3 offers and I'm talking to the lowest offer, a real simple thing is you need to come up a lot because you're the lowest offer. You don't have to tell them they're the lowest offer, but I think that letting them know they're not going to get the property if they don't make a change is important. But also saying that I'm going to have the same conversation with 2 better offers and I don't know what they're going to come back to me with. So I like using that language because, especially like ignoring the lowball offer, let's call it the second place. We have 2 offers that are close. Look, you have 2 great offers. They're too close to pick one. We let them know where we could like to see room to improve. If it's just price, we'd like to emphasize that the pure conversation's on price. So if you have if we have one lowball, and then the lowest price, they're the least of my concerns because they're less likely to come up. But I always want to let them know that they're out of the running early so that I can at least see their improved revised offer. I want to see everyone's revised offer. And this is one thing that I am shocked when I don't get those phone calls back, when I'm close. But even if it's out of contention, I want to know it's dead in the water. So, and this is one thing that I think we've done exceptionally well since 2016 when things got hot is just having those extra calls on those multiple offer nights, those extra conversations that when we're on the other end of the spectrum, we're just getting ghosted on. So I mean, in short, some sort of language around your offer is close. We're giving you one more last chance to improve it. I'd love to see you improve it to better your chance of getting the price. Recognize it if they say, what's the number? Realize I'm having this conversation with 1 or 2 other offers. They're hopefully likely going to improve their offer as well. And I don't know what the number is going to come back at. So we're hopefully going to take the best and final in the next round. So you have probably, what are some go-to sentences, lingo? I like not countering, because you could always counter lower. And you also, the moment you counter, you're kind of a little bit exposed that way. So I like just saying you're close or you're not close. And separately, if they're trying to get a number out of me, I never give a number, but it would be more along the lines of, look, your competition's going to improve their price too. They're having the same conversation and we're going to see what we have in 20, 30 minutes.
When they're really low, like let's say someone is $50,000, $75,000 less than number 1 and 2. Number 3 is way off. Giving them some guidance. Like I've heard people talk about, you're about the price of a new Mercedes off. Like you're way off. Like giving them little guidance like that, I think is okay, especially. Yeah,
I guess so. Yeah. Like on a low ball.
I've heard someone say, I think this is in 2016 when like houses were crazy. And I think we had 11 offers on one. And the conversation was, it's about the price of a 1-bedroom condo. Meaning like, it was like 250, 300K off. So you're like, not even in the same ballpark. I think you answered it really well, saying we're having this conversation with both of you because you're so close. And right now it would be really difficult to pick the winner. So if your guys really love this home and they want to be the ones that get it, it has to be a number that we're excited to move forward with.
A real simple rule of thumb is if we're talking about a multiple offer situation, after you receive all the initial offers, it's common that a lot of these offers didn't put their best foot forward.
Yeah.
So a real simple thing is after the round one, the first conversations with all the offers come in is to ensure that extra conversation, like you need to improve your offer if you want a better chance of it, to better the chance of those offers putting their best foot forward.
Yeah.
And then the round two is you get the best offers from that initial conversation. And let's say you have one offer that you really want, but it's not the best price, but it's clean, against one offer that is a better price that's not clean.
Yeah.
So then you're in the more tricky round two, where you narrow it down to two offers. Let's call it a $20,000 gap on $1 million sale. One's subject, one's non-subject. What's a conversation that you might have with that subject-free offer that's lower in price? That agent.
Yeah. Usually when we get to that second round, if the gap is 20K or in that range, and I feel like we've gotten everyone to their best number, then I'm having a conversation with the seller. But you're talking about pre that? Before that. So
I'm talking about round,
round two? Okay.
Yeah, round two.
So this happened last night. So I'll tell you exactly the conversation I had. The subject free offer was lower. The higher offer was subjects for 3 days. So my conversation with subject free is, hey, look, your offer is great. We like certain things about it. It's just the other one right now is higher and a bit stronger. So how do we make this work together? We want to do the deal with you, but as of right now, we'd probably pick the other one because of the number, and then see what they say. If they come back with nothing or like a very small movement, then it goes into conversation with the seller saying, hey, a little bit of a dilemma. We've got here's an offer, subject free. It's 20K lower than this offer that has 3 day subjects. Here's the pros and cons. With subjects, we're talking about, approximately 30% of offers that have subjects don't remove subjects. This is a clean offer. This is a done deal tonight. Everyone has a little bit different risk tolerance. For me, 20 grand on $1 million home probably isn't enough for me to take the risk on a subject offer. But then I'm saying, if you'd like, Mr. Seller, what number would you like me to go back to? We can counter subject offer and just see what they say. We can say exactly what the other number is. We can, if the $10,000 gap makes you feel better because we've had a couple conversations with them already, we can counter them at this $10,000 gap. And if they say, yes, great, we're taking that one. But what is that gap for you that makes you feel comfortable to take no subjects?
Yeah, I mean, this is a real simple thing, just to kind of add to what Denny's saying here. We're assuming that the front running offer, $20,000 higher, we've had the conversation with them saying, hey, can you go subject free? Yeah. They said, no, absolutely not. So then let's call it, they have a 5 day subject removal, that party. My personal opinion on subject offers, when you have a non-subject offer, you exhaust that non-subject offer before you delay to that subject offer, even if it delays accepting that subject offer a day. I am less concerned about accepting a subject offer by delaying the response a day than I am about not exhausting a subject-free offer.
Totally.
And my logic behind that is, if a person that is offering with a 5 day subject removal is going to get upset overnight because you didn't accept their offer on the spot, they're less likely to have removed subjects in the first place.
How are they going to react to something that comes up in an inspection that they weren't prepared for?
Right. So to add to what you're saying on the subject-free one, one potential thought would be, well, one, you could counter at the subject price. That's $20,000 higher. Leave it as a tight time frame for response, like 2 hours, 3 hours, so you get a quick response. If you feel confident that might work. Or two, you go somewhere in between with a counter. But I like the idea of fully exhausting that subject-free offer before moving on to the conditions, because the conditions is going to be 5 days of waiting, followed by a chance of renegotiation, followed by a chance of a collapsed deal. Mm-hmm. And so, $20,000. And in some cases, $20,000 for that chance makes sense. If a seller is selling an extra property and it's not affecting their life in any way, 20 grand for 5 days waiting, sure, go for it.
Yeah.
But in a lot of cases, it's better to have the sure thing.
Agree.
Yeah. Carl, I think that's a wrap. Hopefully got some great IGTV clips out of this one.